Okay, so I think we're back. Hopefully you guys can figure out where we are. Okay, Monday morning mobility. Welcome back. We've already gotten through a little bit of foam rolling. We're going to go ahead and just get some head wraps going. Nice and easy. So hopefully you've got your foam roller. You can just join in here. Nice and easy with the foam roller. Head wrap. Other side. And good. Okay, so we're going to work on breathing a little bit today. I want you to go ahead and just get your sternoclavicular joint. So there's a little wishbone space there on the upper part of the chest, and it's where the clavicle interacts with the sternum. So right there, take your fingertips and work through that joint. So right here, we're just going to go ahead and work through that sternoclavicular joint. And you can even take your fingertips and work through your sternum to make sure that it glides very gently across the ribs and through the skin and the fascia. So let's go ahead and go down to one knee. And the next move we're going to do is just a lateral shift. So we're keeping the foam roller. If you have a small foam roller, no worries at all. We're just going to take the foam roller, shift it over to the left, and let the hip joint go to the right. Shift left with the arms, shift right with the hips. Just like that. 3, 4, here we go, one more. And 5, same thing other side. We're going to shift to the right and let the hip go to the left. Shift to the right, hip goes to the left. Good. And you might notice that one side feels a little bit tighter than the other. Don't worry too much about that, okay? Just gently move through it. We don't want to find end range. We're not trying to break through anything. Shift left with the arms, right with the foam roller. Left with the arm, right with the foam roller. 4 and 5, same thing other side. We're going to the right with the foam roller, left with the hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, good. If you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Erin Carson. I've been a certified strength and conditioning specialist for over 30 years, and I specialize in working with triathletes, runners, people that want to just experience adventure in life. So let's get the foam roller, put it on your rib cage in your armpit. Your thumb is going to be up. If you've already done one round of this, don't worry, it's only going to help you. We're dragging the skin across the rib cage with the idea that if we can create more space, more natural gliding, we're going to be able to breathe better. All right, nice and smooth here. Good. We're going to roll a little bit face down and get that anterior aspect of the rib cage. So go ahead and grab onto the foam roller and drag the skin gently across the foam roller. So you don't always have to roll with a foam roller. You can use it as a tissue care tool to make sure that your tissue is gliding, just nice and smooth. Okay, same thing other side. We're going to take thumb up. We're moving through this relatively quickly, but that's kind of how I roll anyway. We're in the armpit, and we're just moving across. Take that foam roller down mid rib cage and roll. Just glide the rib cage across the side of the rib cage. Same thing. Might be getting a little heat there. Okay, today, because we are working about breathing, we want this elevation of the rib cage, elevation and expansion of the rib cage. We're going to foam roll into that pubic bone. So anybody that spends any time a little bit short with your spine, you're going to have a shortness through the base of your rib cage to your pubic bone. So I want to foam roll that right at its point of connection with the pubic bone. So figure out how to get into that position and gently drag your hips across the foam roller. That might be a little bit spicy, get it? But the bottom line is it's really designed to make sure that there is gliding through that pubic symphysis. There is a joint right there that allows your hips to move one and then the other. Good, so we foam rolled the pubic symphysis, we foam rolled through the rib cage. Let's go into a half kneeling position. Put your thumb on your bottom rib and your pinky on your hip bone. And I want you in this half kneeling position because it does what we call decouples the hips. All right, from right here, float your elbows nice and wide. Take a big inhale through your nose. Expand your rib cage. And exhale. We're going to come in for 4, out for 6. Ready? Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shake the arms out just a little bit. See if you can get some gentle gliding through those arm muscles. Right here, thumbs on the bottom rib, pinkies on the hip bones. Take a big expansive breath in through your nose. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2. That's an extra second. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into a full kneeling position, foam roller at chest height, and we're just going to do that same shift to the right with the foam roller, left with the hips, left with the foam roller, right with the hips. We've got 10 total. Shift hips left, foam roller right, other way, 2, 3, and if you're watching me closely, you can see I definitely move better, not this way. So there's some kind of restriction, and it could be in my right hip or it could be my left hip, I'm not sure. We're going to use the foam roller to kind of address a little bit of inner thigh here in just a second. Let the hips shift. So right here, stay with me, don't move. This right adductor and left glute kind of have to work together. I'm having a feeling that my right hip is being inhibited by my left adductor. So it has to be able to get over there, but it has to be let to go over there. All right, so we've done a little bit of shifting. It's highlighted a little bit within me. I'm guessing it's going to hit you as well. So let's foam roll the inner thigh. So we're just going to take a second. You're going to lay on your stomach. Let's do it on the side you can see. You're going to take your left knee, bend it up by your hip. Put the foam roller perpendicular to the big bone in your upper leg. And we're just going to foam roll. And just by the degree of discomfort that I'm experiencing right now, I would say my right hip is definitely being impacted by the tightness in my left adductor. So it would be very easy for me to just foam roll the crap out of my right hip, and not get anywhere, not get any results. So you kind of have to keep thinking down the chain a little bit. Don't just go to the obvious answer about why something won't move in the way we want it to move, right? So this is just that next level of thinking and understanding how the body works together. And we're just taking that foam roller nice and easy. Now here's where it gets more interesting. I call this position hands, lift the foot and just work through that movement. Nice and easy. And you can see I've got my hand pretty heavy on the foam roller. I'm unweighting that leg. So when you have intense discomfort when you're doing foam rolling, when you're using the foam roller, you guys, you got to back off. You got to figure out how to unload that position. So let's see if this one's the same. TV time up here with the head in the hand. And we're just working. Yeah, it's pretty similar. Through that inner thigh. People forget to do this when they're always doing the hips. Floss it a little bit with the foot raised up. The goal of all of this foam rolling is movement, it's mobility. If my tissue is sticky or dehydrated is my biggest guess about myself. I'm guessing if you had a big weekend, your tissue is probably dehydrated and you've got to spend the time to get it right. So today is going to be a nice recovery day of movement and hydration. Probably shouldn't be drinking coffee too much today. Okay, so this is the position where the knee is right down the center. This would be 9 o'clock, so that would be midnight. Let's take it to 10:30, so we're halfway between the two. Leave your foam roller to the side, hands on your hips, and we're just going to move gently over the ankle. So we're working a little bit into that ankle mobility. Is that being affected also by the tightness in my adductors? Probably. So let's go ahead and got my left knee out here, so I've got my left hand just keeping my knee from diving in. Those of you that know me well know that this is something I do a lot. So I'm always working on inner thigh. We're always working on it because we know it can affect so many other muscles, right? So here's how we can start to see how it might affect the ankle. So right here, let's see if we can get that knee over the ankle even further. Using the hips to just stay open. Using the hand to make sure that the lead knee there doesn't dive in. And just gently moving over that lead foot. Okay, same thing other side. You always want to start with great posture. Right knee is up at about 2:30. And we're just driving that knee over the ankle. You might feel a little bit of calf tightness here. My calves actually feel okay because I was cycling, not running. All right. I remember the two triathletes that I trained. I don't train Morgan Pearson, but Morgan was in the Olympics for the American team, and Matt McElroy, who's one of my athletes and a good friend, and they were talking about whether it was harder to be a runner or a triathlete. And I kind of chimed into the conversation, and I say that triathletes are harder for me to train than runners because triathletes constantly are changing positions. So you're having to deal with tightness that comes from the bike, and then you're having to deal with tightness that comes from running, and how those two things interact isn't always the easiest problem to solve. So runners, it's pretty predictable what's going to happen. Tight calves, tight ankles, immobile ankles. Okay, good. So last week we used a step stool or a chair. If you guys can take a second and get a chair, I'm going to grab a chair as well. Be right back. Let's grab a chair. Here's my chair. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put the right foot up on the chair. And we want to go double arm overhead. And from right here, see if I can move my chair so you can actually see what's happening. From right here, we're going to put two hands overhead. And I want just knee up, arms up, and just breathe into double arm overhead. So if your arms are here, we're going to assume more tightness through the lats. So arms straight up, chest is big. We're going 3 big breaths. In for 4, out for 5. Ready? In. 2, 3, 4, out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Same thing, other side. So we've got left leg up. We're decoupling the hips and we're breathing into this position. 2 hands overhead, nice and tall. Really see if you can get your arms right next to your ears. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. Blow all the air out. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. And exhale. Good. Arms down. Wouldn't be a show if the deacon didn't come to say hi. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to work using the chair just a little bit. I want you to lengthen your stride. So a little bit longer stride right here. Foot is still up. And you should start to feel tightness on that back hip. And from right here, I want you to try and keep your back heel on the ground. You're going to get a calf stretch. We've got right knee up. And if you've got the other leg up, just go ahead and make the adjustment alongside. So I've got right leg up. I'm going to take my left arm across. And we're just going to push. I'm getting ankle mobility on my lead foot and ankle mobility on my trail foot. And we're just gently driving that hip forward, forward. Keep that back heel down if you can. Forward and forward. And we can start to see how anterior hip tightness could be affecting the calf and the performance down in the lower leg. We've been talking a lot about plantar fasciitis. And I can tell you right now that tightness in the upper part of the body, in the front side of the body, can help give you plantar fasciitis. So we want to just keep strengthening the upper back, gliding through the rib cage, and we're going to end up with much better foot function. We're going to end up with much less chance for injury, much more joy in our day-to-day lives. So right here, ankle mobility on the lead leg. Try and get that knee over the foot, all at the same time, keeping the back heel on the ground. Good and good. And since I'm in my basement, and I thought about getting a studio, like I've said this before, I've thought about getting a studio before, but hell, you're in your basement. Why shouldn't I be in my basement? We can do this together. We can do it all just with what we have. If you can get your foot up on your counter, some of you very athletic people, I want you to be able to get into this position. We're not going to really use it per se today, but see how you can function in that position. Okay, let's go back to the foam roller. We're going to do, I'll use my short foam roller just in case some of you are feeling left out. This is my roll recovery foam roller, short one. We're going to grab the foam roller, and all we're going to do is dive down, put that foam roller between the knees, come back up, between the knees. Starting to feel a little bit of hamstring stretch there. 4, 5, nice long arms. 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, 1 more, and 10. Good. Okay, so now feet inside of shoulder width. What I want you to do is put your toes closer together than your heels by about 1 inch. So this is one of those, if some is good, more isn't better. So toes are together, heels are apart by about 1 inch. Spread your toes out if you can. And all we're going to do is a little bit more of that shifting. So the hip is going to go to the left, the foam roller goes to the right, and then we throw it over the shoulder like a bucket of water 2, 3. So we've got a strong anchor, but we're shifting out of that anchor. 5, 6, 2 more, 7, same thing on the other side. So now check that hip shift. Good. And we're just going to shift to the right with that butt. Foam roller drops down and then up over the shoulder like a bucket of water. 7 and 8. And then we're going to go right back to what we call thread the needle. Drop it between the knees, up and change. 2, up and change. 3, we got 8 of these. 4, 5, 6, 7, good, and 8. All right, from right there, let's go into a split stance. So we're going to go split stance right here. Kind of a long stride. We're going to work that shift again and then bring that back up over the shoulder. So left leg back, shift to the right, and then up and over. 2, 3, 4, you got 8 reps. 5, 6, start to bring that back hip through. 7, 8, good. Switch to the other side. Kind of a long stride. As you drop the foam roller down to the right, the other hip is going the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so now we've got the hips nice and warmed up. Let's use the foam roller as a prop. So if you have a sticky mat, you want that to be right behind the foam roller. We're going into a very 2 times shoulder width, wide stance. Square off the outsides of your feet. You see how they're straight lines? Make them parallel. From right there, we're going to push the hips back, work the hip hinge. I want everyone to take knuckles to temples. What that does is it ensures that you have a very hard time being bent over. So most of y'all don't have mirrors to look at your homes. Knuckles to temples, elbows back, drive your hips back, drop your chest, come back. We're working a hip hinge with great thoracic posture. Ready? Knuckles to temples, push hips back. 1, push hips back. 2, hips back. 3, push. 4, 5, you're gonna stay with 8, get those elbows back. 7 and 8, and back up. All right, let's go airplane arms. This is airplane arms right here. We'll go into that nice wide stance. Think about keeping the chest nice and tall. We're gonna hip hinge and touch down to the foam roller, right in the middle of your stance. So right here, push the hips back and start to rotate. And you're gonna feel as you rotate, so we go from airplane arms, right arm, right hip is also gonna drop, okay? So we're airplane arms, wide stance, push the hips back, right arm, right hip. Then we're gonna go left hip, left arm, tap. We got 10, push the hips back, 3, push the hips back, 4, You shouldn't feel like you're leaning forward. Even though you're tapping down, your hips are driving to the back every single time. Keep the airplane arms so one arm ends up going back. And one more. Let the nervous system kind of chill out for just a second. When we're doing that mobility through this airplane arms and that movement, I want you to really focus on keeping your upper back nice and strong and long. Okay, so I'll do a side version here so you can really see how we push the hips back. That is massively life-giving later in life, in performance, on the bike, climbing a mountain. Hip hinge, hip hinge. Share the good news. Don't just squat and deadlift. You have to have a beautiful hip hinge to be able to load it. Okay? Airplane arms, nice and strong. We're doing 10 tap downs. Want to rotate through that whole upper back, guys. Push your hips back. 1. And come back. Push the hips back. 2. Adductors, inner thighs are starting to feel way better. 3. Push the hips back. 4. 5. 6. Push. 7. And one more. 8. All right. Good job. So we're not doing a lot of exercise today. It was Mobility Monday. I'm just going to give you a little heads up for what's coming. We're going to stick with mobility through September. As we move into October, Mondays will turn into a launch session. The launch for anybody with ECFIT and in that nomenclature of ECFIT world and ECFIT speak. Launch is going to mean we're using our number 1, sometimes our number 2 dumbbells to enhance mobility. So we'll be working strength endurance and we'll be working some mobility. Launch sessions are not hard enough that you necessarily cannot do them on consecutive days. So we're going to go ahead and go Monday, launch. Tuesday, we can either climb or we can launch. So those of you that don't understand what the heck I'm saying, definitely go to my website, subscribe to this channel, and we'd love to have you join us, especially for the premium group. You guys are rock stars. I really appreciate your patience this morning as we hit the restart button. Hopefully everybody's good. Have a killer week, and just stay safe. And it's race week. Watch the Instagram for updates on everybody getting ready for St. George, Utah. Take care, everybody. Thanks for coming.